ladies and gentlemen, this is the committee, the hearing on oversight of Justice Department, which is how C-SPAN is putting it. Excuse me, this is the committee to investigate the weaponization of the Department of Justice. It has been weaponized. They put a silencer on the Department of Justice and a fucking laser sight and one of those really long, creepy clips that look really funky when you're trying to put it in. And they put one of those little trigger mechanisms that technically turns it into a machine pistol, but who's counting? And just a brap brap. And this is the part. They made little chapters. See these little stars across the bottom? Somebody lovingly went through and made little chapters about these things. And like here, DOJ and the 2021 school board issue. Here's Rep. Gates' inquiry on revolving door between DOJ. Elliot Williams responds to Gates. Rep. Wasserman Schultz brings up Benghazi questions. Okay, little things like that. This is, there's a big part right here. This one, the biggest chunk in the whole fucking thing, if you'll notice, from this star to this star, is honestly the most fawning movement in the whole thing. Because, ladies and gentlemen, nope, wrong person. Hey, there she is. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, there she is. Miss former Democrat, now current member of an alternative universe where all the X-Men are bad again. Yeah, I appreciate, by the way, the blonde streak, the white streak. I think as a fashion choice, excellent. I'm for it. By the way, I loved when Paul Stanley did it in 1979, 78. If you don't recall, and you guys aren't, from my side of the tracks musically, Paul Stanley at one point had a big blonde streak in his hair, and she's been ripping him off ever since. I noticed that she didn't get her roots done, though, right before the thing. I think that's a mistake. I think part of the power of this look is how dramatic it is. And you got to, sorry, you just got to get a root touch up. This is your big day. And I mean, there's, plenty of, definitely plenty of places in the DC area that I'm sure do a fantastic job doing root touch-ups. But, yeah, Cher did it in her, in her stint with Sonny. That's true. And, again, did it in her stint with Gene Simmons, if you know what I'm saying. And maybe you don't. Anyways, so, lady and gentlemen, if I may, because there's only one lady here and a bunch of women. I'm kidding. Here we go. We're going to skip right past good old Tulsi, because that's a big chunk. How long was she up there? She was in there till she was in there for a good 20 minutes or so. We might double back on it, but this is the part about the Twitter files and the FBI, and this is the part that I would like to remind everybody that besides Matt Taibbi being a misogynistic scumbag asshole who spent, I guess, the only formative sexual years of his entire life in Russia, why is it never another country with these motherfuckers? Why is it never Italy or Indonesia, or I was in South America for 9 years? It's always Russia. They always get this weird opportunity to start a project in Russia. Then they get, a cozy apartment in New York City and a gig at Rolling Stone, or where, or someplace where they just get that little, I don't know who's giving them a little spank on the taint, just giving them a little lift. And it always seems to go back that they hung in Russia for a good long way. I'm sure it's coincidence. Anyways, Matt Taibbi, who is the stenographer for a billionaire, paranoid, who bought Twitter and has been kicking his own ass over it ever since, put Matt and a couple other people in charge of going through select Slack conversations and select emails, mainly selected by him, and not the other part, though, not the corresponding, or the alternating opinions or thoughts in those places per se, and then to put them out as a big dun dun dun. Like, this is Matt Taibbi is the single greatest example of how someone can take a dun 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 and turn it into womp 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 womp. And if it wasn't so irritatingly pathetic, it'd be hilarious. So this is, I want to hear this little piece. I've seen some of the other stuff from this hearing. We'll go back and look at Chuck Grassley at some point or whatever, because I'm sure he'll spit a tale or two about how his mother used to crochet the original form of Twitter sitting on her porch while eating venison jerky while, kicking the neighbor's cat. But in the meantime, let's look at this little piece right here. Bring these folks in. Nicole Parker, former FBI special. Okay, this woman, by the way, works on Fox Now. She quit the FBI, wrote an op-ed, said the whole thing, it's just become, it's not the place I once served. The people are great, and the mission we had was terrific, and everything we're doing, but I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, it was the most, like, it was just idiotic, because she just quit so she could be on Fox News. Let's be honest. She was down in Florida. She was shit-talking Biden or something like that. And somebody went, you could probably get a regular gig on Fox. I'll introduce you to Trump, and he'll talk to somebody upstairs if you want. And that's how it happened. Anyway, so she's going to, did she read a statement? I think so. Let's see. Yeah, oversight away. Well, they jump into the question here. They all read their main statements. But here you go. This is, according to whoever made this marker in C-SPAN, the Twitter files and the FBI. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, patreon.com/AlSparks. If you're on Twitch, subscribe. If you're on any other platform, subscribe or follow or whatever. And by the way, we're expanding the Discord. It is now live during the show, which is really cool for patrons and other folks. YouTube issue got an alert. Okay. Oh, yes, because I popped up and then I went away? Is that what it was? Or is it even worse? Do I dare even look? Am I on? Are we here? Is everybody in? All right, here we go. Wish me luck. Go see you on the other side.
Consequences that come with voicing their displeasure. These agents keep their heads low. They work hard and they stay off the radar, and they count down the days until they can collect their well-deserved pensions.
Oh, it's terrible what they have to go through. These poor FBI agents who, waste their days away tormenting Karens.
For me, distancing myself from egregious mistakes, immoral behavior, politically charged actions taken by a small but destructive...
You might want to, you can pace yourself. I know they said you only have a certain amount of time for your opening statement, but maybe next time go to ChatGPT, have them pare it down a little bit. Enter it in and say, hey, can you make this shorter and less crazy? And it'll go no, and smoke will come out of your computer.
Destructive few FBI employees became exhausting.
Oh my God, I'm so fucking tired of these people, right? I mean, your fellow FBI agents, like toddlers, hello.
Although I was always treated with the highest level of respect in the Miami division, I no longer felt that I was the type of agent that the FBI valued.
Why? Because of QAnon threads? If everybody treated you with respect, what?
I began to lose passion for the career I loved.
Yeah, that's not it happens to everybody. You know what I mean? It's, if only they had a little blue pill for everybody else, but it just doesn't work out that way.
And peace came as I reflected on the victims I assisted, the criminals I took off the streets, and I remembered positive performance reviews, awards, and accolades I had been given.
But I decided, fuck those victims and fuck the criminals that I've taken off the street. They deserve to be on the street. Fuck America, because Donald Trump should have won in 2020. So child pornographers should go free. Set everybody loose that I put in jail. I hate this dump. As
I left nothing on the line in my work as a special agent.
Nothing on the line. No. You left nothing off the table, and you put everything on the line. You're supposed to put everything on the line. If you left nothing off the, left nothing off the line. It's just a very weird way of saying it.
I held out as long as I could, hoping things
Well, you know, thinking about baseball, I've heard good.
would improve, but finally I knew it was time to go. So less than 4 months ago, of my own volition, I made the difficult decision and quietly walked away from the FBI with an exemplary and spotless record.
Okay, how long before we find out she was asked to leave?
I love the FBI I joined, and I have treasured memories working alongside remarkable people. I'm proud to have served with honor as a special agent. And
However, fuck those people and fuck the criminals and victims because Donald Trump lost 2020.
while I sincerely pray for the FBI's future success, the FBI's troubles of late were bigger than anything I could change. Going forward, I will continue to serve others in our beloved country while honoring and celebrating the true heroes, both past and present, of the FBI.
Okay, so she's going to write a book about how to avoid perjuring yourself in an FBI interview.
When I was
with a foreword by Donald Trump. Since that time, I've had the pleasure of working with the former president, coaching him on exactly how to say the fifth a bunch of times without having to say the fifth a bunch of times.
Invited to participate in this hearing, my initial reaction was to decline their request.
Yes, well, we're all upset about that, but
As there may be others more capable who would do a much better job than me.
well, I mean, it's a job that need not be done. So I really think the bar is pretty low. I think you're going to be good. You're good. Don't worry about
Why
it.
would I want to subject myself to the stress of testifying,
Why would I want to go through the stress of testifying after all the stuff I went through as an FBI agent? Also, what is the... I mean, this dude is straight up crushing on her right now. Ew. If only Jim Jordan had set his eyes upon sexual assault at OSU and stared at it as longingly and with the desire to understand it at depth as he was doing it Nicole Parker right now.
putting a target on my back and likely facing public scrutiny.
You left the FBI. She wrote an op-ed about this. She didn't just quit in secret. They wouldn't even fucking know if she wasn't a regular on Fox News.
As I prayed about this invitation,
The Lord visited down upon my head a blessing that it was actually a text from General Michael Flynn. And he said, think of the adrenochrome.
sorry, the thought came to me.
By the way, high pressure situation. I have no problem with her crying right now, but I want everyone to remember Greg Kelly mocking police officers, Capitol police officers who went through Jan 6, who still had PTSD from nearly having their fucking heads caved in, who cried at the hearings, and he's like, "This isn't a real cop." These aren't cops. Don't act like they're just too weak to be cops. I mean, what is this? Like, understand that like. The Republicans are suddenly going to be handing out tissues?
To whom much is given, much is required. And I realize that this is not about me.
Then stop crying.
I have been given the opportunity to speak up on behalf of numerous current and former Bureau employees who...
No, you haven't. You're not presenting a list of people who asked you to speak on their behalf. We are being asked to trust you that other people think the same way you do.
feel similarly, but they do not have a voice.
Yes, they do. They all have a voice. You didn't have a voice. You just wrote an op-ed. The fucking Post printed it or whatever the fuck. Of course they have a voice. They can all quit. They can all resign. If they feel the same way you do, and it's a travesty, and the FBI is lost, then they can resign too. I don't know why you exemplify some sort of personal courage that other FBI agents can't muster in this circumstance.
I am not here today to show favor to any political party.
Now. Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, ma'am.
I am here to stand for the truth based on my experience at the FBI.
As a QAnon believer who was marginalized and they left the number 17. I was given the locker number 17. They put a Q on, like, people would go like, real quick, I have a Q. I mean question, Nicole. Sorry, Special Agent Parker. And I knew what they meant.
In all humility, I hope to make an impact in creating a stronger agency, which is what Americans deserve.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Thank you for your service. We'll now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from New York, Ms. Stefanik.
I want to echo the chairman. Thank you, Ms. Parker, for your extraordinary service and your.
And I just got a text from Greg Kelly calling you a wuss. I wouldn't take it personally though. He said he reacts poorly to tears with everyone. Whatever. He will be doing a segment on you though.
Courage for being here today, Mr. Turley.
What courage? Honest to God, it's a committee hearing in the oversight of what she believes and they believe to be the weaponized DOJ. She's got a job on Fox anytime she fucking wants it. What are you talking about? She's not going to get bomb threats. There is a very strong possibility that some of her former colleagues might at some point go, bullshit. Nicole had problems and this is why she left and blah, blah, blah. And that will show up as I was attacked for simply being here.
Really, I want to start with you. The Twitter files laid bare for the American people what you
That there was no there.
correctly call unconstitutional, quote, censorship by surrogate.
Unconstitutional censorship by surrogate. No such fucking thing at all.
Matt Taibbi writes, quote, Twitter's contact with the FBI was constant and pervasive as
During the Trump administration. During the Trump administration.
if it were a subsidiary. Do you agree with that assessment?
I do.
Why the fuck would he know? From reading what Taibbi put forward? Fucking Turley, good lord. I mean, this is effectively a Fox panel. This isn't, they didn't drag like deep reads, experts out of nowhere for this.
The record so far shows a relationship that goes beyond this sort of informal exchange of ideas.
You're correct.
Informal shit. Yeah, FBI agents call up Twitter and go, "Hey, have you ever thought about that fucking edit button? Is that a possibility? Is that gonna happen anytime soon? Get the fuck out of here." Also, from the reporting, either you have something to add on your own that's legit, or you don't. And if you're just going by the reporting, you can't make a legal assessment based on limited reporting, especially as slanted and one-sided as the Taibbi files are.
In fact, isn't it true that leading up to the 2020 election, Twitter had
When Trump was president.
weekly meetings with not just the FBI, with DOJ, with DHS, with DNI, to conduct this unconstitutional censorship by surrogate?
Also, how the fuck would he know? Secondly, no. They did it because there's child pornographers and terrorists and human traffickers trying to use all social media. Don't believe me? Most fentanyl that is bought online by kids comes from fucking Snapchat. Facebook just, quite frankly, does a better job because they've been around longer dealing with this kind of shit, so their meetings were more perfunctory. Twitter, on the other hand, was pretty fucking slapdash about it, and also the main staff there didn't believe or were either that or were under orders not to talk about how many fake accounts are on there, which was Elon Musk's complaint that somehow evaporated even though the accounts are still there.
We know that because of the Twitter files, correct?
Correct.
No, you don't. You don't know shit from the Twitter files, dumb fuck. You know half of the conversation. Here's what you do know. The Biden administration didn't exist. The Trump administration insisted on things like Chrissy Teigen's Trump is a pussy-ass bitch line to be censored, which is the White House calling Twitter and saying, take down that tweet, which is, I would say, big government overreach if you're really grasping for some. Meanwhile, the Biden campaign was just that, a campaign. He was not in power. He had no power. The requests coming from them were like, that's a non-consensual nude of my son. Could you take that down since it, in theory, non-consensual nudes of anyone violate your TOS? Oh, yeah, okay. Did they say, can you scrub the whole laptop story? Can you make sure hashtag laptop from hell never tweets, whatever, never trends? No. Rats.
And it was not just meetings, not just censorship of stories like the Hunter
There were hand jobs. It was terrible. Like they went to this big place and covered themselves in oil. It was disgusting.
Biden laptop story. We also now know that the FBI paid Twitter over $3.4 million of taxpayer funds to censor these stories before the 2020 election. Is that?
No, you don't. And if he says yes, it's just because she's asking him to say yes. The $3.4 million was not to censor these fucking stories. It was because they were having to do extra work around certain legal issues. So like certain, again, human trafficking, drug trafficking, all the real shit that happens in real life all the fucking time, especially as it spiked, as fentanyl spiked under the Trump administration and it was everywhere. They were like, can you guys look into this? And we'll reimburse you for the extra work you're going to have to do because we're not going to send a staff over there and you're not going to give us access. So we'll reimburse you for going through this.
That's correct.
That money was paid. Twitter confirmed that.
Right. We know the money was paid. For what? Again, who gives a fuck if the money went somewhere? Why it went somewhere is the meaningful question. Did he just agree with her? Or is she lying by omission by allowing for the inference from anybody watching, allowing for the inference therein that everybody could look at this and go, oh, okay, he said yes, that's what that was that money was spent on. No.
And the Twitter files are just the tip of the iceberg because...
No, they aren't. They are the remnants of a now melted ice cube.
Because there's so much more.
Yes, there is. There is a lot more. There's especially the part where Twitter, the FBI contacted Twitter and said, hey, can you take that down? And they went, nope. And the minute they did that, the shivs go into the tires of the Twitter files and the engine is filled with sand. The minute Twitter can say no, there is no collusion, there is no control, there is no big tech hand-in-glove FBI control point, because the second they can go, nah, fuck off, about any of this shit, they are not being controlled. The essence of control is that you can't say no. If you say yes to some things because they already fit your terms of service, wait for it, that's expected. That's just somebody making you aware that someone in your shop is shoplifting. They are not forcing you to deny candy bars to people who are trying to fill their pockets with them and run out the fucking store. They are not violating that person's right to a candy bar. Secondly, in the Trump situation, first of all, in an endeavor to directly control Twitter by forcing them through threat of legal obligation and that we're going to get rid of Section 230 and we're going to break these big tech things up. Like that is the threat of legislative action towards these companies if they don't behave and do what you want them to do.
There was a corrupt revolving door at the highest levels between the FBI and Twitter.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Like, besides Baker, who the fuck went to work there? And also, why is that weird? Also, and again, as that was before Trump got kicked off, people have been coming and going from there a long time, and a bunch of those people are still there.
Look no further than Jim Baker.
Right. Look no further than the only actual example we have, which was just their legal counsel.
Former general counsel at the FBI who helped unlawfully investigate Donald Trump in the 2016 election.
No, he didn't. He did not unlawfully investigate Donald Trump. If he did, file fucking charges. If it's unlawful, it's illegal. He broke the law. Put up or shut up.
Look at Jim Comey's deputy chief of staff, who became the director of strategy at Twitter. Isn't it?
Yeah, because it's a big coordination job. And?
True, according to the Twitter files, that there were so many FBI officials who then went to work at Twitter that created their own Slack channel and crib sheet for onboarding. The Twitter files confirm that, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware?
Yes, they were a minority there, and they felt weird around all the Google employee types who were sitting in beanbag chairs. Like, are we the only? Can we start a Slack channel for us? The fact that we're the only ones that are here when the job day starts, and the only people wearing ties. I feel alone.
As the American people are aware that according to...
By the way, anybody know how many people you need to create a Slack channel? 1, you can do it by yourself. It can just be a note-taking app. 2 helps, I suppose. That makes it more of a team. But when 2 people call themselves a team, it sounds like parents dealing with a child that's been playing hooky.
Polling. Of the
What the fuck are the Twitter files? The betrayer. They are a farcical, pitiful attempt at gotcha news that Elon Musk drummed up after buying Twitter in a way to get back at his critics that forced him into buying the fucking thing after he tried to back out. And he hired, thank you, Shadow Woman, for the gifted subs. That's really lovely. Thank you so much. And Taibbi and those guys, the deal was he gives them stuff, and we've looked through this a bunch of times. We've gone over the Twitter files when they come out. And my favorite part of it is all the yeah buts. Remember, I always tell you, when you're reading a news article, the third paragraph, or in the case of like USA Today or an online version, it will be the 5th or the 7th paragraph, because they make them bite-sized when they're online, or in a color mag like a color paper like USA Today. That paragraph contains the yeah but that will, in many cases, if it's a bullshit article, you can tell in that paragraph alone, because it will directly contradict the assertion made in the headline. That happens all the fucking time. It's embarrassing. By the way, now I would say nearly every time, and regular viewers of the show will back me up on this. Let me know in the chat room if you know that I'm right about this. Is that every time Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson or Laura Ingraham or any of these, or Greg Kelly or any of these dickheads throw a headline up, if we go find the article, the body of the article, it has nothing to do with the reality that they are portraying. And the clickbait headline is all they're showing, because the rest of it goes, yeah, but that was all bullshit. And it also was 10 years ago. And the worst of it happened under Trump. Like it's again and again and again, we've seen this shit. The Twitter files were an attempt to basically wrest control of that kind of journalism to themselves and create these sort of bullshit link tree versions of things. And then everybody who's in the Twitter files could then release it on their Substack and would make a buck off of it after the fact. But they had to release it on Twitter first. That was the deal. And every single one of them, and she's not going to bring it up because she's stupid, but, and I mean that not in the pejorative sense, I mean materially stupid, willfully ignorant, intentionally avoiding information or details that would undermine her argument instantly so that she can make some sort of short-term gain that will eventually bite her in the ass, because everybody knows in the Republican Party there's a massive glass ceiling on any female politician, and they want to keep it that way. But several of the Twitter files ones, like he couldn't get around, Taibbi couldn't get around the fact that he had, in his old days at Rolling Stone or someplace else, he had always had to write the yeah buts. And about 5 to 7 tweets in on all these fucking things, there's the Biden campaign asked for some things to take down, and the Trump campaign and the White House separately asked for some things to take down, and Twitter told them no, and people uppers at Twitter were talking back and forth about this is bullshit and I'm not going to do it, and then the FBI said okay, and that was it. So the minute that fucking happens, it's over. It's over. If you cut the strings and it stands on its own, it's not a marionette anymore, motherfucker.
The people that were made aware of the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Story. Very important that she says story, because it's a story.
53% would have changed their vote, including 61% of Democrats.
No. Where in the fucking world does anybody? Well, I know he's a pussy grabbing son of a bitch who's gonna topple Roe v. Wade, and he just put Amy Coney Barrett in there, and she and Kavanaugh in there, and there's a leaked draft of that was a year later, but basically she's come out and spoke at one of these events and said, yeah, we're going to go after her. Don't worry, we'll take care of it. And Ginny Thomas is, digging in and becoming a QAnon nut. But no, they were going to not vote for Biden because of dick pics from his fucking son that happened years ago when the guy was on crack. And how many did she say? Wait a fucking second. How many? Back the fuck up. Hold on.
Correct.
That money was paid. Twitter confirmed that.
And there was a corrupt revolving door at the Hummer General Counsel at the FBI,
on.
Jim Comey's deputy chief of staff. Twitter files that there were so many FBI officials.
All right, yeah.
Of the people that were made aware of the Hunter Biden laptop story, 53% would have changed their vote, including 61% of Democrats.
No, there is, like, think about that for a fucking second. You get a broad group of people, you get 100 Republicans and 100 Democrats, and 63%, more than the total overall, the vast majority of the people in this group of Democrats, I guess, which is way to, of these 200 people, would, more of a percentage of Democrats than overall would vote for Trump or not at all. Again, let's just be abundantly clear. These people are still pissed that their October surprise for 2020 shit the bed. That's what this is all about. This is sour grapes about the fact that they tried to they needed another Comey investigation thing. Trump tried to cook it up with Zelensky. Rudy Giuliani tried to drum something up with his fucking, Four Seasons total landscaping bullshit. They had the laptop allegedly for like over a year, but they decided not to drop anything to the fucking Post until October. Get the fuck out of here. You failed. It was shit. Nobody was buying it.
This is the definition of election meddling, and it's the definition of election meddling by the FBI on behalf of Democrats, paid for by the U.S. taxpayers.
Well, for once, I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, your tax dollars at work. Thanks, FBI. I was worried that your budget was getting bloated, but since you did this, I'm very happy. I appreciate it because I like the stuff that Biden has done, and I'm glad that Trump wasn't president so he could allow Vladimir Putin to attack Ukraine without any pushback a year earlier.
It's collusion, it's corruption,
and it's a farce.
It's unconstitutional.
Also, he's the law professor. Shouldn't he be the one saying this stuff? You should go, is this collusion? Yeah, it is. Is it unconstitutional? Yes, I'm a law professor. Yes, it is.
Ms. Parker, I want to go to you next.
Parker, not Parker, but okay.
Next, about your experience at the FBI, because
I would like to tell you what your experience was at the FBI. Do you get the feeling these people are printing election video for themselves?
this is not just about the Twitter files, which focus.
Well, it couldn't be, because if it was, you'd be done before breakfast, asshole.
Focused on because of the news it made. It's about a.
You mean the news it didn't make? I thought that was the complaint. And aren't they all bitching that nobody's listening to the Twitter files, like Joe Rogan? And everybody's like, nobody's even talking about the Twitter files. Like, I went through all of them. Shut the fuck up.
Systemic rot in the culture and the politicization of the leadership of the.
The politicization, that's difficult. That's politicization. It's a difficult word. If you're going to put it in the paper, I would practice. Politicization is and my tongue is too big for my mouth. I know of what I speak.
The FBI, and it needs to be rooted out. Let's take a.
Well, we got rid of Nicole Parker. Does that help? She's gone. I guess mission is job one. Every other FBI agent seems to be doing their job well.
Step back. Let's look at the targeting illegally of parents who wanted to stand up for their kids at school board meetings.
Dear God, how do they even know? They were targeted for wanting to? Jesus Christ. Do we have those kind of thought rays? They didn't even wait for them to stand up for their kids. They just they're like, hello, hi, what's going on? FBI. Why are you here? We thought we smelled something. What'd you smell? You thinking? What? I could smell your thoughts. Look at this flashy thing.
On September 29th, 2021, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to Joe Biden equating parents at school board meetings to domestic terrorists.
Yeah, just in general. Yeah, it was the weirdest blanket statement I've ever seen. They're just like, you know what? These fuckers think they're allowed to come into these school board meetings. I don't even know why we have these school board. It says school board meeting. Why is there an audience of fucking parents here? This isn't the goddamn PTA.
And on October.
By the way, that's not at all what they said. Their concern was bomb threats and murder threats from psychos that listen to assholes like this.
4th, Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a memorandum to the FBI and U.S. attorneys that the department would use federal enforcement tools to target and prosecute these parents.
Just for being, yeah, just for wanting stuff. Isn't that weird? It's like the new Christmas law. If you even think about wanting to do something or get something, you're done. They know what you want. They can see inside your brain. They have the FBI has like a special super high-tech version of that thing a doctor sticks in your ear when you're a kid. Yeah, one of those things. Yeah, and they could look in there and they're like, what do you see? I see a little mini golden statue of Trump in a boat that's sinking, oddly enough. This person's very worried. And, yep, they're planning on, I don't know. Wait. No, that's not violence. I think they want to, no, he wants to have sex with the principal. That's different. Okay, sorry. That's not our jurisdiction. Somebody from Homeland Security will be here with lube.
Do you consider parents as domestic terrorists?
Yes, I do. Parents are domestic terrorists. Yes, I think anybody who identified with the Breakfast Club, or Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off thinks that very same thing. Do you? This is a fucking committee hearing in the House of Representatives. Do you think that parents are domestic terrorists? Just a generic.
And
listen to that.
prosecute these parents. Do you consider parents as domestic terrorists?
I don't know if Timothy McVeigh had kids off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure David Koresh had something. The Unabomber didn't have any kids. I know that.
I do not consider parents as domestic terrorists. No, I do not.
No.
Wow. Thank you for taking a stand, Ms. Parker. I wish some of my my colleagues on the other side of the aisle could say that parents are not here to murder everyone with the PTA for the Weather Underground over here.
And neither do the American people.
Including FBI agents and everybody at the DOJ. What the fuck are you talking
But
about?
there's more to this story. It goes back
They couldn't possibly be.
further than that initial letter on September 29th.
Really? They didn't just spontaneously decide to write a letter describing all parents as domestic terrorists? Please do go on.
Because the letter didn't happen organically.
No. It was GMOs. It was synthetic. They mixed a cow's DNA with a spider and milked or a squid and milked ink out of the teats, and then it was just gross. I don't even, but like the amount of like lead and monosodium glutamate in it was disgusting.
was solicited. It was solicited by the White House and by the Secretary of Education. Essentially, the Biden administration laid the predicate for what.
Oh, right, because somebody at that organization contacted the White House and said, these motherfuckers are going to kill us. And they said, yeah, you can't talk to us. You got to talk to the FBI and the DOJ. You got to write them a letter. And they went, okay. That's like saying, this was instigated, this pizza arriving at that door was instigated by the pizza guy going to this door and them going, that's next door. Yeah, that's the giant conspiracy. That's it. Pizza guy shows up at your door and you're like, oh, I didn't order pizza. You're off by a number. That's these guys right here. You smell the weed? Yeah, just walk 2 doors down. You believe me, it's going to that house. Yeah, you can trust me. Yeah, I can't. I don't eat. Yeah, I'm on a carb thing. So yeah, but I appreciate it. Anyways, and if they give you any shit about being late, come back over here. I'll pay for the pizza. They're good guys.
What should use to justify illegally targeting the American people, targeting these parents?
So sad. Have we heard from any of these parents at Gitmo? Has anybody seen them? Have we got? Are they at least sending like letters on on toilet paper?
Is it proper protocol as a former FBI officer to set that predicate, to manufacture the reasoning to justify opening an investigation?
I believe that no
The children are our future. Treat them well and let
one
them
should
lead
be
the way.
targeted for free speech, and that violence should never be tolerated under any circumstance, but it should definitely not. No one should be targeted because they want to speak up at a school board meeting.
Yeah, good, great, awesome. Nobody was. So fuck you. Like again.
This was a setup, and it was the setup, and it's
How is this? All right.
the real definition of weaponization of the government against.
All right, guilty. All right, we're done. She declared it. The whole committee's, that's what we're trying to figure out. And she found it. Good job. It's written on her notepad the whole time. She could have filed it in this morning. We could all gone home. All right, great work, everybody. Pack it up. We'll see you on Monday. Okay.
It's the American people. And it's not just this example of
That's not an example. It isn't. Elise Stefanik is a liar and a moron. That it's not an example. She has yet to give an example. Any of the things she's calling an example so far have completely failed to actually qualify under the definition of an example.
targeting parents at School Boards Association. It goes back to the opening of Crossfire Hurricane.
What? Okay, so the Obama administration was like, we've got to do something. We got to do something about these parents.
Goes back to the faulty FISA application.
Fuck Carter Page, there were no faulty FISA applications.
It goes back to what we heard on that first panel from Senators Grassley and Johnson.
Did they play the banjo? I missed it. I'm very upset. Their duets are not to be missed, honestly. Well, I'm sitting here wondering why I'm even here in Congress when I'm a big senator from a state like this. And I went to a big elite school like all my redneck cousins and pretend to be a poor man for the idiots in my state. All right.
It goes back to the suppression illegally of the Hunter Biden laptop story paid for by the U.S. taxpayers.
Money well spent. Thanks very much. I consider that a down payment on infrastructure.
This corruption needs to be rooted out, and it's not just about protecting the U.S. Constitution.
It's not at all about protecting the U.S. Constitution, dum-dum.
It is most importantly about protecting the American people from the weaponization of the federal government against them. Yield back.
Bam! You got it? Okay? Do you feel protected? I do. Thank you, Elise Stefanik. The prophylactic against regular, average, everyday parents being labeled domestic terrorists because they want to show up at a school board meeting, and I think that's it. I don't think you even have to want to ask anything. I think you just have to want to show up. You don't even have to speak. You just have to, I wanted to speak, but I never got a chance. So what happened? Well, some people came down through the ceiling lights, through the glass on ropes, and they were wearing guns, and they had FBI, and they screamed at me, and I think I recognized one of them from Criminal Minds, but I might have been wrong, because I was face down on the floor before. It was all over in a couple of minutes. Still have taser burns.
Lady yields back. The chair now recognizes the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very interesting. As a parent of 5 children, I think having my rights as a parent is a very sacred trust. A very sacred trust. But, Mr. Williams, would you say that having worked as a prosecutor, threats of violence against individuals is something that supersedes an individual simply being a parent?
Of course, Madam Ranking Member, threats of violence are actionable under the law. When they come, prosecutors can investigate, or the FBI or any other investigative agency can investigate them and prosecute as appropriate.
Sure. This one-page DOJ memo that we've made much ado about said...
Much ado about nothing. It's nice. Thank you. Del Stacy Plaskett. I like Stacy, at Stacy Plaskett, instant follow.
As in its first instance, that the First Amendment protected activity should never be subject to prosecution, and issues a concern to illegal violence and threats of violence that are made to school board officials, most of whom are, surprise, surprise, parents, volunteers who do the unenviable job of trying to direct their children and their communities' activities with regard to education, job most of us, thankfully, have not had to do. And I'm also troubled, I'm deeply troubled by all...
By the way, she's going to be right on all this stuff, and she's going to say a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about. We love her. Great work, blah, blah, blah. We'll take her 5 minutes of questions. By the way, you'll notice that she's asking more questions, just materially, than Stefanik was. Stefanik was just making a statement. Because she's a dum-dum. But also, hold on. Did he jump into what she was saying?
And the honey. I yield back.
I think the gentlelady, I would just point out, we tried the honey. 100 letters we sent in the last Congress. We tried the honey.
The last
honey-
Congress,
the
you're
hun-
now
honey,
the chair.
The honey didn't work.
You're
That's
now
why
in
we
the
sent
majority. You
subpoenas.
should have tried that first as the chair of this committee, not as the ranking member.
We tried. We
You
tried
didn't do
with
that.
We tried. I don't know what the honey is. What's the honey? Find out what the honey is. Come on.
Side collaboratively is always going to be a better approach.
Vinegar seems to work better on social media, though, than the honey. I yield back.
Oh, I see. You're going to attach more. You're going to attract more bees with honey.
Certainly,
than,
Congressman, Congress has the authority to issue subpoenas quickly if they wish, but I guess you get more flies with honey than with vinegar, to be cute. And working with the other side collaboratively is always going to be a better approach.
Vinegar seems to work better on social media, though, than the honey.
Truer words. Words of wisdom, Lloyd. Words of wisdom.
I yield back.
I think the gentlelady, I would just point out, we tried the honey. 100 letters we sent in the last Congress. We tried the honey.
The last
honey-
Congress,
the
you're
hun-
now
the honey,
the chair.
The honey didn't work.
You're
That's
now
why
in
we
the
sent
majority. You
subpoenas.
should have tried that first.
I love that she's just like, he's so out of his element. He's the chair. He could go, reclaiming my time, madam, I will respond to your, that kind of stuff. She's just walking right over him.
As the chair of this committee, not as the ranking member.
We tried. We
You didn't
tried
do
with
that as
100 and some
chairman.
letters.
You did.